Hey everybody, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day, I guess. I am making this video because of the Unplanned movie. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly suggest it. I went and saw it maybe 4 weeks ago now, and it totally floored me, and I have been wanting to make a video about my own experience with an unplanned pregnancy, and I haven't felt comfortable, but I feel compelled to do so now. So let's just get into it. My name is Catherine. I'm 30 years old. almost 6 years ago, I was in a relationship. We had been together about 3 years, and we broke up. Because my boyfriend at the time wanted to have a family and I wasn't ready. So shortly after we broke up, surprise, surprise, I found out I was pregnant. And I was really scared and excited and nervous, but I was still really excited, and told my ex-boyfriend that I was pregnant, and at first he was excited too, and then pretty quickly his feelings changed, and he started accusing me. He was saying I was trying to take advantage of him, and at that point in the game he called me and he said, "I'll give you $5,000 to get an abortion and move away," and I was like shook. I posted about it on the Facebook at the time, and it was totally devastating. So he backtracked after I embarrassed him, and ended up convincing me to get an abortion anyway. He said that we could have another baby later, and it just wasn't a good time. So I was really conflicted. He had also said that, if I did follow through and have the baby, that he would take legal action to remove my child from me. And whether or not that was a substantiated threat, it was still a very intimidating thought to me. And I didn't get a lot of support from my friends or family at the time. And so I was in a really uncomfortable place. My own mother encouraged me to get an abortion. And that was ultimately one of the most devastating things ever. And my best friend at the time also encouraged me to get an abortion. So I had only one or two people in my life that thought I would be a good mom. And that my one friend, the day I got an abortion, the day that I had it scheduled, she was trying to talk me out of it. So it was, yeah. So the day that it happened, it's a terrible experience, and the only reason I'm telling you about it is so that you can kind of understand. So the day it happened, my boyfriend dropped me off. He sat there with me in the waiting room until they took me in. So they take you in and they give you a pill to soften your cervix or whatever, and that takes a while to start working. So then they send you back out. My boyfriend was still sitting in the waiting room at that time, or my ex-boyfriend, whatever the fuck he was, and he said he needed to go do something. So I was like, okay, go. And he may have even it's hard, kind of blurry, but he may have even just left and texted me about it after the time, because I was like, those drug, whatever they give you is a really intense drug. It's fucks you up. So I go back in the room after I've been sitting in the waiting room, and they're playing Forrest Gump, of all things, which was one of my favorite movies at the time. So I'm tripping sack, and I'm sitting with my unborn child in my stomach, and I'm afraid that, I didn't want to get an abortion. I also didn't want to have my kid taken away from me either. You know, I just didn't want to. There were so many fears. I was afraid of being a single mom, you know, all of that. So all of this is going through my head, and I'm sitting in a room surrounded by other women in the same situation as myself, and everyone's crying, and they're crying alone, and they're like just holding themselves, and they're talking to themselves, and they're rationalizing it, and it's like the stuff of nightmares to remember this shit. And all these moms, most of the women in there already had children, and they were saying it was already so hard. And the way we all looked at each other, we all knew it was the worst mistake ever, and that would haunt us for the rest of our lives, but we were rationalizing it anyway. And so finally, you know, you go up to the workers and you say, I don't want to do this, and you see other girls go up to them and say they don't want to do this, and they make them go sit back down. And they won't let anyone leave, even if they want to leave. And my friend is texting me the whole time. She's telling me, I'll come pick you up. You don't have to do this. And, you know, you kind of black out. And then the next thing I remember, they're like, this guy's taking me into the room, and all I really remember is that there's, like, the guy was talking shit about my tattoos. He was asking me if I was in a gang and if I'd been jumped in before. Because of my tats, I have flower tattoos, so I don't know what the fuck kind of gang that would fucking be. And there's blood all over the walls, and there's blood all over the stirrups, and there's blood on the paper, and there's blood on the plastic, and it's just like there's just blood everywhere. And they lay down, and I remember I kept saying I don't want to do this, and they did not. Yeah, they're trained to not like listen. And so yeah, I kind of blacked out. I remember being on the table and like looking up and like crying and praying to God, and then the feeling went away. And I was in the other room with the other girl sitting, and then my boyfriend picked me up, my ex-boyfriend. They walked me outside. There he was. There were a bunch of people out there. And I felt like really worthless and small and evil. And then my boyfriend took me to Best Buy, and he got me a movie. The Wedding Singer. It's one of my favorites. And after I got the abortion, he took me to a Prince concert. A few days later, and it was, I never felt like such a bad person in my whole life. And I started drinking a lot, and I stopped eating a lot, and I had a raging, I started just partying my nuts off, and I started realizing more of the girls that I knew that were crazy partiers, that were, you know, partying or paying away like I was, and I didn't really feel comfortable talking about it because they didn't feel comfortable talking about it unless they were drunk, and so it took me a long time to get over it. It's been 5 years. I don't think it's something anyone ever really gets over, but that movie opened up, you know, all of those memories for me. So if anyone tells you that's propaganda or it's not real, like they're lying to you, because that is what it is. It's bad. I wouldn't want my worst enemy to get an abortion, and I don't want it to happen to you. So I hope that anyone that has lost a child to miscarriage or abortion can feel some sense of peace today. And I hope that you go see Unplanned. Have a great day.